So my view is that the recent news with the SEC going after both Binance and Coinbase is probably like the final boss of this cycle. Depending, I think there are a few different outcomes that you can expect from this. My hope is that Coinbase will defeat SEC in court because, for a variety of reasons. If they do, I think that's probably, who knows how long that will take, but that will be a pretty clear sign of, brighter times ahead. It might drag out, so we don't know how long it will take. They might also lose, which is likely going to force them and other crypto companies to relocate their businesses outside of the US. But I think if you look at the classic kind of 4-year cycles of crypto, it definitely, this year definitely feels a lot like 2019. 2019 was a year where many people had sort of dropped out completely because they felt like there wasn't a lot of price activity happening, but there were a few pockets here and there of interesting sparks, both in terms of price pumps and tokens that suddenly kind of exploded and became popular. But it was still very much kind of the hardcore audience that was still around. To me, 2013 feels similar. And it does align, with the halving cycles of Bitcoin, interestingly, as well. Last year was frankly quite brutal, as we all know. And if you're still sticking around, that you're probably a believer that will almost stick around no matter what, given all the negative events that happened last year. And so I think it's the same if you look at price action either for Bitcoin or for Ether. It's been, I think, surprisingly resilient, given even the most recent news, right? You can imagine such news having a much, much larger negative impact on the market. But there's just been so much bleeding, and it's almost like only the hardcore believers are here. And so I think that's a sign of strength, to be quite honest. Like we managed to make it through a really, really difficult time for crypto. And I think we're at the tail end of this rough period where we have been, going sideways for a while. It's hard to say exactly when things will start be turning a lot more bullish, whether that's, a positive outcome from these SEC actions or whether it's more application and usage driven. For example, some of these Web3 gaming projects that raised a lot of money 2 years ago that are finally going to ship games very soon, like literally in the next months. Or if it's, some new innovations that no one's really thought about that might be coming up, on the NFT side, on the DeFi side, or other in other sectors of crypto. So I would say it definitely. I would imagine that we are relatively close to getting back to a more bullish market, but it depends a lot on those factors. I do think you need to have a catalyst that kicks things off. I guess like maybe one thing that makes this cycle a little bit different is the macro environment, right? The macro environment is quite unique with regards to high interest rates, inflation. There's a war in Europe, etc. And crypto hasn't really gone through that. But there are also certain aspects to that which, play right down they are super consistent with the narratives that crypto have always been talking about, right? Excessive money printing, central banks, out of control, banks collapsing, bailouts that are needed, right? A lot of these events are exactly the type of stuff that crypto was created to be kind of the medicine against, and an alternative financial fabric that we're building. So that's the thing that's a bit different this time around, that a lot of these things that crypto enthusiasts have been warning people about, like they're actually playing out in the macro environment. And, the role of the US dollar, the actions of central banks, the debt that so many countries have, the weakening of many fiat currencies. Like I'm Norwegian, and the Norwegian krona has just been taken a massive beating to the point where people are starting to talk about settling contracts in euros instead of the Norwegian krona. And many of these things would be kind of unthinkable just a couple of years ago, but there are a lot of issues with our current financial system, and crypto is the best alternative that we have, even if it is still a very young industry.